Final picks and DFS strategy for UFC 316. As always, you can call me Kunith. Let's make some money this week. The DFS videos are back. We're going to be building some lineups. We're going to talk about value plays, cash games, tournaments, all of that good stuff, everything you need to do to be successful on this slate. If you haven't, though, go back and watch the predictions video from earlier in the week. That'll be linked in the description and in a pinned comment. What you're also going to find in the description and in a pinned comment is going to be a link to the $1 winner-take-all game. It's going to be something we start running again weekly on Draftkings. I think it caps at 200, but if we fill it up, they'll probably just make it bigger or get in touch with me. Their people will call my people. My people being Oscar, who's historically unreliable. But if you want to compete with some of the community, $1 winner take all. So if there's 100 people in there, you're going to win $100 if you come in first place. But more importantly, you're going to win some bragging rights. So go ahead and hit that link, join the contest. Anyway, we'll start with value plays. These are going to be fighters at 8,000 and below, essentially underdogs that you're going to need to make your lineups work salary wise. We're going to start with the top of the range. We have no $8,000 fighter this week, which is strange. You normally have somebody at 8,200 and 8,000. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is the priciest underdog. Recording this after weigh-ins, dude came in heavy, right at 265. So I think maybe he wants that weight advantage. Maybe he's trying to stay heavy so that he can grapple effectively. But I do worry about him here because Serghei Spivac came in a slim 250. I know Salsa Boy is everybody's dog of the week, and typically when that happens, which we've seen for the last couple of weeks now, I saw a guy like Ludovic Klein, saw a guy like Super Sadiq Youssef. Whenever you get these guys who are just, oh, that's the underdog of the week, they normally don't pan out. I'm not big on Waldo Cortes-Acosta this week. I think he's better than advertised, but I think the matchup's poor. Mario Bautista, no. I think Pat mixes him up. Andreas Gustafsson is somebody who you should probably have in value play consideration. If you watch the predictions video, you know I'm not on him this week. But DFS isn't about playing the guys you think are going to win. It's about playing the fighters that could provide some upside to you. This fight's not going to go the distance. Either him or Khaos Williams is going to be looking up at the lights. So with that said, as an underdog on a card where it doesn't look like there are too many good underdogs, at 7,500, a win for Gustafsson probably puts him on the optimal lineup. So he's somebody you have to consider playing in value play consideration. You have to have him in your player pool, especially if you're running multiple lineups. Vicente Luque, I think he's going to be somebody who's pretty popular as well. I find him hard to trust. I find Kevin Holland even harder to trust. But Vicente Luque's gotten you there before. Last time he won 116 as an underdog. Again, that was crazy. Another time as an underdog, 8,000 against Rafael dos Anjos, 134. That was over 5 rounds. Took an L before that, but against Chiesa, 93. Woodley, 107. 120 against Rude Boy, 108 against Price. I mean, outside of that Mike Perry fight where he won by decision and scored 64 points, this guy lights it up from a DraftKings scoring perspective. So, I mean, with that, he probably has to be in value play consideration this week, especially because Kevin Holland's a company guy. You know, I don't think he's in there to win a whole lot of fights. But at 170 pounds, Kevin Holland's also pretty hard to put away. You see, the champion, Jack Della Maddalena, doesn't put him away. I don't know if Vicente Luque is going to do it. So while I think he's somebody who's a popular underdog, he has the history of scoring well in spots like this, I'm not going to have him in value plays this week. Mark the Shark, I'll definitely have in value play consideration this week. I think he's going to be somebody who garners a little bit of attention as well, just because, one, how bad some of the underdogs look matchup-wise, and two, Marquel Medeiros, I don't think anybody's really scared of him. So I think people are going to get there to $7,300 Mark Chowinski, but I like him this week. I think that he's going to get the job done. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win inside the distance, but even with a decision, he's probably going to get some takedowns here, good amount of control. He's an aggressive guy who's going to throw a lot. Marquel Medeiros accepts a lot of offense coming back his way, so the scoring potential's there. If he goes the distance and doesn't get a whole lot of control time and takedowns and strikes from a dominant position, he might throw like 75 up there. But if he's one of 2-3 underdogs that win this week, you might have gotten there. Sean O'Malley, 5 rounds to work, absolutely needs to be in value play consideration this week. I know people are going to have strong opinions about why Merab should win. You see the way that the first fight went. I get that, and people typically, when somebody becomes a champion, they're all over them. Like, for example, I remember when Leon Edwards fought Bilal Muhammad, and I picked Bilal Muhammad, and people were like, are you kidding? There's no way Bilal's going to get torched. You look at what happened in the first fight, no way. Bilal Muhammad wins, right? Fast forward, Bilal Muhammad defends his title against Jack Della Maddalena. I say, I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to win. Bunch of the same people, no way Jack Della Maddalena is going to win. Because when you get the belt, people look at you a bit differently. I've even had people say, you look at that fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, great performance. How could you think that Sean O'Malley's going to come out here and I'd win. There's a few things at play. One, I used to do this when I played video games with my friends growing up. Let's say we're playing like FIFA, 2K, Madden or something. FIFA, I win in golden goal, right? Or 2K, I win by 2, 4, 6 points. Madden, I win by field goal at the end. Let's say I won by a very small margin. When I would bring that game up again later, I would say, oh, remember that time I killed you in Madden? Or if another friend came over, I'd be like, oh, I just murdered this dude in FIFA. Do you want to play? And then my friends would get all upset. Murdered? You destroyed me. You won by 1 point. That's how it feels, again, with the Sean O'Malley, Merab stuff, where people are like, Merab killed him. Sean O'Malley won 2 out of the 3 rounds. And did it with a bad hip. And people were like, oh, the fighters are never 100%. The dude literally got surgery days after, and it was already scheduled before the fight happened. So Sean O'Malley wasn't 100%, still took 2 rounds off of him. It was still a competitive fight, and Merab did very little to no damage. Also, you look at the fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab is getting torched for the first 2 rounds. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, Umar Nurmagomedov is doing what he came here to do. He's a Nurmagomedov. He's going to get it done. Umar's cardio after the second round brought shame to the Nurmagomedov name.
This is #1 bullshit.
But Sean O'Malley didn't gas out over 5 rounds last time out, and hell, if Umar had a little bit more gas in the tank in that 3rd round, probably takes the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then loses the last 2 and ends up winning the belt that way. I think the output, the footwork, the power coming from Sean O'Malley, the improvements in between this fight and the last fight, I think he comes in here, gets the job done, and over 5 rounds, even if he scores you around like 90 points, I think a 90-point performance gets him there this week. So give me Sean O'Malley at 7,200. Fine with that for your value plays. And I really only have one other value play that I want to consider this week. And no, it's not Juliana Pena, despite her having 5 rounds to work. It's actually Jekka Saragi. Just not enough on the other guy to confidently say that Jekka Saragi is completely outgunned here. We know the guy's got huge power in his hands. The other guy's got those unknowns. The other guy's Korean. He stands right in front of people. That's what the Korean fighters do. Not necessarily known for their footwork over there. I think Jekka Saragi's going to find that chin. I think he knocks him out at 6,700. If he does that, he is obviously the best play on the slate. I would be really surprised if we went the whole night and we didn't see 2 out of the 4 of these fellas show up on the optimal lineup with a W. So those are going to be the value plays. I don't really have too many of them, but we're going to use them to build some lineups as we go through. And we're going to start that in just a second. But before we do, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm, because you know how the algorithm works. So we'll start by building some cash game lineups. So these are for 50-50s, head-to-heads, double-ups, ways for you to just increase your bankroll a little bit if you build your lineups the right way. You can go the stacking method this week. I personally don't love it because I think that Kayla Harrison is very live to win early. I think that Merab and Sean O'Malley, that would be the more stackable fight between the two, but I'm looking for a little bit more upside. You can come up here and play these really expensive pieces, but some of these guys in the mid-range look like they're going to be able to do what they need to do to get you that W. So I think Wang Cong goes out there and does the damn thing. Her opponent missed weight by about 6 pounds. Don't think it matters at all. As long as this fight's happening, I think that Wang is getting it done at 9,100. I think she's a steal. Big power in her hands. I think that she drops Silva maybe more than once and gets you the W that you need, because we're not talking about big upside when it comes to your cash game lineups. We just want winners in there, right? So we build them a little bit differently. Josh Van's free real estate at 9,300. Not playing Merab does kind of feel like a mistake. So we're going to come down here. We're going to grab a punt, somebody who's cheap, somebody who might not get finished too early, somebody who might give us some points. I'm just going to go and take a shot on Jekka Saragi at 6,700. Reason being is because if he loses and doesn't score that many points, he was only 6,700. If he wins, obviously you end up winning your cash game lineups unless Merab gets starched in like the 1st or 2nd round. But now that I'm looking at it, I know that's a possibility. And I think that at 9,000, that chews up a big chunk of salary, because this mid-range, these guys are still kind of pricey. So like, for example, I want to play Patchy Mix. I think Patchy Mix is a great tournament play. I think he's a great cash game play. But that leaves you at 7,400. So you could go the stacking route in the main event. That's not terrible. But like I said, I don't know if I really want to stack this week. So let's say we took Merab and O'Malley out. That would give us 8,200 left over per fighter. We'd still end up having to stack. Or not stack, but playing an underdog that we might not want to play. So if we were to go, say, Spivac in this situation, let's say we came down from Josh Van, what can we do? Could we go Kevin Holland and Khaos Williams? No, we can't do that. Unless we were to take out Jekka Saragi and go all the way down to somebody like Brendson Ribeiro or Juliana Pena. So Juliana Pena, when was the last time she got finished really early in a fight? Second round against Valentina Shevchenko, third round against GDR. Let's plug in the Venezuelan Vixen and see if she can give us, say, 30, 40 points in a loss. That would be fantastic with a lineup like this. I like this. I'm cool with this. Feels a bit sus to have Kevin Holland in there, but I do think that he's the rightful side. So we're going to look at this for your cash games. If you want the official cash game core that we land on, you can visit kunithmma.com. That's linked in the description and in a pinned comment. That's going to give you the DFS strategy guide, as well as the data model, the lineup optimizer, all the tools that you need if you're playing games like Underdog and Prize Picks, and just the normal betting that you should be doing to offset what you're putting in DFS, because DFS is so volatile. Straight betting is a bit more consistent. So you also find the official betting article of the week on the website, as well as the community parlays, which if we string together a couple W's this week, we should be in a good spot. And now we can build some tournament lineups. So I'm going to build what I think is like the quintessential tournament lineup this week, what everybody's going to be trotting out there. So I think Kayla Harrison is going to be very popular despite price. I think that Merab is going to be very popular, rightfully so. Look at these numbers, just sickening. Even against Sean O'Malley, 137. Like that's why DFS is so interesting, because you could do no damage and score 137 points. I'm just kidding, but I'm not. So then you see people probably come to like Waldo Cortes-Acosta, I think Andreas Gustafsson, 79.50 left over per fighter. Wouldn't be surprised to see them throw Vicente Luque in the mix. Like, I'm trying to make what I think is going to be the absolute stone cold chalk. And then you've got Pat Mix. A lot of people are going to get here too. No salary on the table. You've played main card, dog of the week, another darling dog of the week. This is a lineup that you've probably built already. Does that mean it's a bad lineup? No, it doesn't mean it's a bad lineup, because anything can happen. But if this lineup ends up winning, if you are in a contest where, let's say it's $1,000 to first place, you're probably going to end up getting like $20. Not really, but it's going to chop so much, right? So you want to separate yourself to kind of have like that 1% type of lineup. Some of the more expensive plays of the week, you already know how I feel about you. I think that there's just not enough there. Azamat Murzakanov, he's not somebody who's lit it up. He's got a guy in front of him who's very chinny, but this guy comes on late. It's not like he throws a ton. He knocks everybody out, knocks everybody down at the very least. But this is the craziest price you've ever paid for him, and you can argue he's never even gotten there for you. So I feel like if you're floating around this $9,600 price tag, you probably have enough salary to play somebody like Kayla Harrison. Sky is the limit. With 5 rounds to work, she can end up scoring 138 points this week, maybe more. Will Salkild is somebody who's super interesting, though, because I think at his price, it's going to be hard for people to want to get here when they're already getting to Kayla Harrison, already getting to Merab. Will Salkild is somebody who I think can end up taking his opponent down multiple times, getting to his back, and probably submitting him. If not, just racking up a lot of control time, strikes from a dominant position, breaking that 110 DraftKings point ceiling that you'll probably need this week. I love Josh Van. I love the output. You see in a 3-round decision, this guy's scoring 113, 100. Against Rehi Saruya, he probably could have scored more than this, but Saruya just kept shooting and hanging on for dear life and stalling position. I don't think that Bruno Silva's going to do that. I think that he's going to go out there, throw hands with Josh Van, but he probably gets knocked out. So I don't mind Josh Van either. Joe Pyfer, I'm not in love with. I think that he's been overpriced in the past. I think he might be a little bit overpriced this week. Wang Cong, cool. I don't mind it either. She's more, in my opinion, a cash game play than a tournament play, though. Merab is somebody who, if you are running, say, 100 lineups, if you're running 100 lineups and 65 to 70 of them don't have Merab in there, you don't really know what you're doing. Even if you're all over Sugar Sean this week, Merab's ceiling is something that you cannot ignore. He has to be somebody that you're playing way more than you're playing of O'Malley. Although if you're playing like single entry, you're going to have to make the choice between the two. You don't absolutely have to play Merab in single entry if you really like O'Malley this week. But if you're running multiple lineups and you don't But if you're running multiple lineups and you're not trying to get overweight to the field on Merab, you're doing something wrong. Merab is somebody you gotta look at. Medeiros, I'm not interested. Holland for your tournaments, I'm not interested. Khaos Williams, though. I love me some Khaos Williams this week. I love Pat Mix. I love Serghei. Oh no. we've ran out of salary. So we're going to have to change some things. I think that Khaos Williams, though, is a great play for your tournaments this week. I think that Patchy mix might be a slightly overrated play for your tournaments. I like him a lot, but he might be a little bit overrated for the tournaments. Let's go down here. Let's grab Serghei and let's kind of take inventory. So this is what I want. This is the position I would want to find myself in late, is with Sean O'Malley. You've used all the salary. If you leave salary on the table this week, you're getting very different, right? And that's awesome. But it's going to be hard to getting a fighter like Kayla Harrison in there and getting somebody who's expensive like a Quillen Salkeld, like a Josh Van, like a Merab. But I don't mind this. If you wanted to switch this up a little bit, you want to go down to Pat Mix because you're a little bit worried about Khaos Williams, I'm cool with that. I do think, though, if Pat Mix wins, it's probably by submission in like the second round. I think if he wins by submission at any point, it's probably going to be a guillotine. I don't know if he's going to get a takedown to get the submission. I think that he's going to jump guillotine and he's going to finish the fight that way, which is great. It's still a finish, but you don't get extra points for submissions. Like if you knock somebody out, boom, knock them down, that's 10 points. And then if the fight ends, let's say it's in the first round, that's another 90 points. If it's the second round, it's another 70 points. You're getting your 10-point bonus because of the knockdown, unless it's a standing TKO. But we've seen fighters before win via guillotine, and it's like, oh, that's cool, that's slick, but they're not getting any credit for a takedown because of it. So nothing happens. They don't really get a whole lot of control time there. They don't get the takedown credit either, so you're not getting a big bonus despite the finish. So if you are in a situation where you're like, I could play Pat Mix or I could play Khaos Williams, I think Khaos Williams comes in at lower ownership. I think that his early knockout upside is a lot higher, and I think that he has a higher scoring ceiling than somebody like Patrick Mix if he is able to win. Let's blow that up. Let's start anew. Let's say you wanted to start your lineups with Merab. You probably do want to get up to Kayla Harrison. So now we've got 78.25 left over per fighter. I'm going to come back down here to Serghei and take my chances. I'll play Mark the Shark. And now if you wanted to in this situation, you could go Mix and Williams, or you could go Mix and Spivac, or you can go Mix and Waldo Cortes-Acosta if you think it's going to go the other way, or you could play Waldo and you can get back up to Khaos Williams. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. I'm not going to bore you with making lineup after lineup after lineup, especially if they all start looking this. I'm telling you right now, you probably have to pay up to play Kayla Harrison. You're going to need the winner of the main event as well. From there, you can start to play with things, try to get a bit different. I think that Mark Chowinski is very sneaky at the first fight of the night. There's a chance that one flies under the radar. I still think that the ownership as an underdog is going to get there for Chowinski because of how the other favorites look on this card, but Mark Chowinski is very interesting. I think Serghei is interesting. Quillen Salkeld, second fight of the night, that's super interesting as well. But when you're playing the big money tournaments, not the 50-50s or the double ups, I think a couple of fights that you stay away from. The Wang de Silva fight. I think you stay away from the Pyfer and Gastelum fight. I think you might want to stay away from the Luque and Holland fight as well, because I think that one's going to garner a little bit more ownership than it should. So now we've narrowed it down to about 10. I think if you want to go a step further, narrow it down to 9, you probably don't play the Murzakanov Ribeiro fight unless you're on the Ribeiro side. Not enough upside there for me when it comes to Azamat Murzakanov, but that's where we'll leave it. So, and you know, we can talk about the people don't watch the final picks video, so we can keep this in between you and me. But thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm. I will see you next week, and I wish you the best of luck, UFC 316.